Mhm. Hello everybody in Canada and everywhere where you will be watching this video. My name is Alex or Alexander, and I pastor together with my wife Natasha. I pastor the church in Kostroma, Russia, and I want to share with you a little bit of my testimony. I got saved in 1993. At that time, just 3 years after the Soviet Union had collapsed, passed by, and the gospel of Jesus Christ was very new for us at that time. Something new, something completely alien for us at that period of time of our country. So my older sister first got saved. She met Rapchan's family, Glenn Rapchan, Glenn and Madge, and their daughters, and she began to fellowship with them, and she got saved, my older sister. And she invited me into church. At that time I was a teenager of probably 13 years old, about 14 years old. And I was very interested in the gospel in one way. I was also very interested in having fellowship with the foreigners, because at that time we didn't have too much foreigners in Vologda in Russia, in my native city, and I'm from Vologda originally. So I came to church at the very beginning of the Vologda church in 1993, and I got saved. Although I was only 14 years old, I already knew by that time that I was a sinner. I started to smoke and drink a little bit when I was 13, so I was far away from being a saint at that time. I got saved. God began to really work in my life, but the most important point of my life after my salvation was the day, or actually the night, when I was filled with the Holy Ghost. I remember the Canadian preacher named René Plant. He preached in Vologda in 1994, in the very beginning of the year, in January probably. So he preached about the baptism of the Holy Ghost, and he began to pray for the people. He began to lay hands on people for them to get filled with the Holy Ghost. And at that time I already knew a little bit of English, so for me, when he began to speak with another tongues, for me that was some kind of for me it was crazy, let's say like this. But he prayed for me. He laid his hands on me also, and he prayed for me to receive the baptism of the Holy Ghost. I didn't feel anything. But then I came home after some period of time, after that sermon, after that night, I came home, and my pastor, Pastor Glenn Rapchan, he told us, if you still want to be baptized with the Holy Ghost, when you come home, start praying to God and ask God to fill you with the Holy Ghost. So that's what I did. I came home and I began to pray for the baptism of the Holy Ghost, and suddenly I felt like the heavens opened widely, and I began to feel the power of the Holy Ghost coming down on me. 14 years old teenager. and I got filled with the Holy Ghost, and I prayed for the whole hour probably. And before, I never prayed more than 5 minutes in a row. So for me, it was such a dramatic experience. I began to feel the call of God upon my life, the call of God to preach the gospel. And this desire began to slowly grow in my heart, the desire to become a preacher of the gospel, to preach about Jesus, to save, to convert souls, to fight for people, for souls in Russia. And that's what I started to do. God really changed my life. Before, I was a rebellious teenager. I was even kicked out of the church once for my rebellious behavior. But then, after this, God began to deal with my heart. I began to be more serious about God. And then I became the Bible study teacher in Vologda, or home fellowship group leader, let's say like this. And then I met this beautiful girl named Natasha, and we got married. I was 20 years old, she was 22. And after probably 8 months in our marriage, we went to pioneer the church in Ivanovo, which is not far away from here. We were for 4 years in Ivanovo, and then we took over this church in Kostroma. And now we are here for 16 years already, preaching the gospel, planting baby churches. We have 4 baby works now, and still preaching the gospel, still